I meant every word.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ziad, for that introduction and for your leadership of this important organization and for you and the steadfast support that ATFP has given to the cause of peace. I'm pleased that there are so many friends and colleagues here tonight. And it is especially gratifying for me to have this opportunity to address you. Before I begin, however, I want to take a moment to express our government's strong condemnation of today's disturbing reports of arson at a school warehouse near Nablus. There is never any justification for violence against civilians, and an attack against a school is particularly outrageous. These incidents cannot be tolerated. We hope for a swift investigation, and our thoughts and prayers are with those whose families have been affected. We meet at a time when we rightly can join together to celebrate the achievements and the mission of the American Task Force on Palestine and the 4 extraordinary Palestinian Americans that are being honored tonight: a soldier, a poet, a playwright, and a builder. Each story is unique, but together they represent the talent and dynamism of the Palestinian American community and the Palestinian diaspora around the world. In big cities and small towns across America, Palestinian Americans are contributing to the richness of our culture, the strength of our economy, and the liveliness of our democracy. The American Task Force on Palestine is also contributing to our country and our tradition of citizens gathering together to express their views and help shape the national debate. Now, when it comes to the conflict in the Middle East, it is all too easy for positions to harden into dogma, for tempers to flare, for rhetoric to outpace reality. But you have provided a welcome voice of reason and a steady advocacy on behalf of a just, lasting, and comprehensive peace in the Middle East. You have helped us see past the false choices of this conflict. Being pro-Palestinian does not mean you must reject Israel's right to exist. And being pro-Israel does not mean you must deny the legitimate aspirations of the Palestinian people. The path to security and dignity for both peoples lies in negotiations that result in 2 states living side by side in peace and prosperity, and a comprehensive peace in the entire region. As this organization has emphasized, that outcome is also in the interests of the United States, as well as the people of the region and even people around the world. But most of all, it is in the interests of both Palestinians and Israelis. I have spoken frequently over the last year about why a 2-state solution is critical to Israel's long-term future. America's commitment to Israel is rock solid and unwavering, and we will continue making this case openly and often because we see that as the best way for Israel to safeguard her future. But tonight I want to focus on why a 2-state solution is essential to the future of the Palestinian people. Ziad referenced my time as First Lady. And as First Lady, I may have been the first person ever associated with an American administration to call for a Palestinian state and for the two-state solution. This goal is now the official policy of the United States. And for Palestinians, a two-state solution would mean an independent, viable, and sovereign state of their and your own. The freedom to travel, to do business, and govern themselves. Palestinians would have the right to chart their own destinies at last. The indignity of occupation would end, and a new era of opportunity, promise, and justice would begin. It is difficult to think of anyone who has worked harder or longer to realize the dreams of the Palestinian people than President Mahmoud Abbas. Decades ago, it was Abu Mazen who saw that only through negotiation and nonviolence could these aspirations become real. He has persevered through many difficult times and remained firm in his faith that an independent Palestine living side by side with Israel in peace and security is both possible and necessary. He is a champion for the people, and he is a champion for peace, because President Abbas understands that the path that must be trod toward that state proceeds down two simultaneous tracks: negotiations between the parties and institution building that prepares Palestinians to govern themselves as we move toward and after an agreement is reached. Negotiations are not easy, but they too are absolutely necessary. It is always easier to defer decisions than it is to make them. As much as the United States and other nations around the world want to see a resolution to this conflict, only the parties themselves can take the difficult steps that will lead to peace. That is why the Obama administration is working so hard to support direct talks that offer a forum for both sides to grapple with the core issues in good faith. There is no substitute for face-to-face discussion and ultimately for an agreement that leads to a just and lasting peace. That is the only path that will lead to the fulfillment of the Palestinian national aspirations and the necessary outcome of two states for two peoples. But before I go further, I'd like to say a few words about the state-building track. Now, it may receive fewer headlines, but I believe, and many of you do as well, it is critically important. Today, although Palestinians still have many obstacles to overcome, it is easier than ever to envision an independent Palestine able to govern itself, uphold its responsibilities to provide for its own people, and ensure security. This gives confidence to negotiators on both sides and hope to those who have long looked forward to that day. Under President Abbas and Prime Minister Fayyad's leadership and under Prime Minister Fayyad's two-year plan, the Palestinian Authority is going beyond rhetoric and actually building a new reality. It is reversing a history of corruption and working hard to produce results that matter in Palestinians' daily lives. The pace of reform accelerated this year. The streets are safer, courts are handling more cases, taxes are being collected more efficiently. In the first half of this year, revenues were 50% higher than in the same period in 2009. This has fueled continued economic growth. New businesses are opening. More than 100 new companies were registered in the West Bank in August alone. Everything from venture capital funds to local hardware stores. As a result, more and more Palestinians are finding jobs. Tourists and business travelers are arriving every day to take advantage of the improved security and economic climate. In fact, a new 5-star hotel is due to open in Ramallah this month. Of course, considerable work remains. On the security front, the improvements have been impressive, but Palestinians could do more to discourage and denounce incitement that inflames tensions and undermines cooperation. On the economic front, many smaller communities have yet to see the benefits of greater prosperity. Unemployment remains high, above 15% in the West Bank and nearly 40% in Gaza during the second quarter of this year. So we can all do more to work together to reduce the Palestinian economy's dependence on foreign assistance and promote sustainable growth, especially by increasing foreign investment, not just more aid, making it easier for people and goods to move in and out of the territories. The work we've already done with the Palestinians and Israelis in these areas shows the impact we can have when we focus our efforts and makes the case for why all of us must do more. The Palestinian people have many partners who are working and investing every day to improve life in the West Bank and Gaza and to help lay the foundations of a future state. Private companies, philanthropies and foundations, universities, all of them are contributing expertise, energy, and effort. And there are many more who are looking to make a difference. The United States has launched a new initiative called Partners for a New Beginning, a regional initiative that is one of several efforts to bring together key players to focus on solving specific challenges. And our government remains fully committed. For example, last year we invested nearly $2 million to upgrade and reopen the Jalama crossing between Israel and the northern West Bank, adding new lanes and inspection sites. As a result, the number of vehicles able to cross has steadily increased from 0 to roughly around 7,500 cars and buses per week. Now, this has had an impact. Arab-Israeli shoppers spent an estimated $12 million in Jenin this quarter. The markets are full and the streets are crowded, and there's even a new movie theater. We've also worked with the Palestinian Authority, Israel, and our international partners to ease the situation in Gaza and increase the flow of needed commercial goods and construction supplies, while taking appropriate measures to ensure they don't fall into the wrong hands. Last week alone, consistent with the Palestinian Authority's focus on addressing water and electricity needs, more than 1,000 truckloads entered Gaza with food and goods like steel bars and cement to modernize the Gaza City wastewater treatment plant and electricity poles to upgrade power distribution. This is helping the people of Gaza and cutting into the illicit tunnel trade that has enriched Hamas and undermined the rule of law. Now, we still need many more steps from Israel to enable more economic activity in Gaza, including exports that bolster legitimate business enterprises.